Hello guys, welcome here to another episode of Sunday Morning Tinkle. I'm not blind, I'm just using these glasses to protect my eyes from the screen, and also because I now see that the Lightning are off to a bad start. But anyway, or I now see that it's hockey season. But needless to say, we're going to get right into that in a moment. I believe I'm up first with the takeaways this week, but of
Yes,
course
you
we're
certainly
going
are.
to talk the roughing the passer and Tinkle on this. But I don't want to waste too much time. We're trying to get off to a hockey game in a little bit, so
Mhm.
let's get started. Chargers narrowly escape that game on Sunday versus the Browns with the victory. Needless to say, they just let Nick Chubb run all over them, and you can't do that if you want to win games. I mean,
No, definitely not.
and Herbert, I mean, everyone's saying, oh, well, Herbert doesn't look too good this year. You got to also factor in, look at the wide receivers behind Keenan Allen. I mean, really, it's Mike
Other
Williams,
than,
and it's a
I was gonna
steep
say,
drop.
other than probably Mike Williams,
Yeah.
doesn't look very promising for the
I mean,
Chargers whatsoever.
Mike Keenan Allen is kind of that safety blanket, like Cooper Kupp is for Matt Stafford, and like Calvin Johnson was for Matt Stafford in Detroit.
Right.
So you know you can't really. I mean, you can fault Justin Herbert, but at the same time, you got to look at the quality of receivers below Mike Williams, and half those guys just aren't that guy, to be honest. They just aren't that number one guy. Um, I know we got that wide receiver that we have kick returning right now. He's okay, but
Mm,
below that, I mean, Guyton's always been kind of iffy. You know, Everett's been okay as a tight end. McKitty is just garbage, man. There's just no way to you know, say otherwise, but at least the game I saw, he was garbage. Um,
right.
but to be honest, that's the Browns. That's how they play. They play with the run, and they've got the best running back duo in the league. I mean, hands
I don't know. I
down.
feel like it's more Nick Chubb this year than it is Kareem Hunt,
It
which is fine with
ultimately
me.
depends on the game, to be honest. Like, the games that are the problem is, you could take Nick Chubb out by running up the score, getting two possessions ahead, and it's like that's cute because we got Kareem Hunt who we can just pass the ball to in the backfield, and then
Right.
if Chubb doesn't get you, then Hunt's gonna get you, and that's why I say they're the best duo in the league because there's just really no way to take the running back out.
No,
Um,
I mean, unless you have one of the best run defenses.
yeah. But with that, I want to move on to. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I don't feel like it was a good win for the Chargers. You know,
Probably not.
but moving on, of course, Tampa Bay, the first time since before COVID, they opened the season not raising a Stanley Cup banner. But they were in the Stanley Cup, and of course, they beat the New York Rangers to get there. Well, we had the rematch after the Rangers blew a 2-0 lead in the series and ultimately allowed Tampa to get to the finals. The Rangers got the last laugh in this one. It was 3-1 on Tuesday night. Um, you know, and all I can say is sloppy defense. I mean, 3-1, you'd say 2 goals. That's not bad, but the story of the game, just the defense for Tampa was god awful. The offense, I mean, the defense, I'll give credit to the Rangers where it's due. The Rangers put together a hell of a defense. I mean, we got across the blue line and they just got murdered. Every time they crossed the blue line, they got murdered for the puck. And but I will say this, and this is one thing I will not concede, is what I heard at the end of the game was the fans in New York chanting Igor's better. Igor's good. I'll give him all the credit for being a good goalie in the league. I'd say he's definitely top 3 right now based on the way he's playing. But, I attribute a lot of that to the defense. I mean, look at the shot totals, I believe, were 26 on New York, which, of course, was 25 saves for Igor Shesterkin versus 42 or 43 that Vasilevsky faced and ultimately allowed 3 goals. So
Right.
I attribute that more to defense than I do to the goalie. So that said, Vasilevsky taking 43 shots and stopping almost every single one. The only ones that I think the Rangers got were fast breaks. So, to be fair, when you're one guy with no defenseman in front of you, you can't judge on that to me. I mean, I think ultimately, in looking at Vasilevsky's career, it's been easily hands down better than Shesterkin's, and I get Shesterkin is brand new to the league, at least the last couple of years, but you can't immediately go Igor's better. And to be honest, if you want to have that discussion, go out there and win a couple rings, and we can have that discussion about who's the better goalie. But I will say, though, one thing, and I'm going to say one thing nice about New York to wrap this part up. They do put they put together a hell of a goalie. I mean, Henrik Lundqvist for years, and Henrik Lundqvist, for all intents and purposes, is the GOAT. Igor is a young, up-and-coming goalie. He's playing well. Tampa played sloppy against it. And, New York looked like a team that could go to the Stanley Cup, and it may very well happen. But again, It's only game 1. I don't want to use fatigue as the excuse for Tampa's loss because, 3 straight Cup appearances. I mean, that's a very short off season, a short turnaround.
Yeah, dude.
I will say Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they played in 3 straight NBA finals. I believe LeBron James played in like 5 or 6 straight NBA finals at one point.
Right.
But they weren't, I don't feel like I don't feel like fatigue is a strong excuse for a loss that lopsided, that the score didn't dictate how lopsided it was.
Michael Jordan already has played in like 3 straight, and
at 2 different times.
Yeah, so he never has. If we want to talk about anybody that has played multiple different years in the finals, let's talk about LeBron. I wonder how, like, if you want to ask anybody about how fatigue can set in the start of the season for making so many finals appearances, it would probably be LeBron, because I think he had like 6 or 7 straight finals appearances from 2011 to like 2019 or something like that. I mean,
well, he also made it the year during COVID, and during the COVID year, I'll give anyone that excuse, because I mean, the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals both finished in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like a 2-month turnaround to the season. So I'll give anyone that excuse for COVID year, but beyond that, no. Sorry, your mic cut out.
No, I mean, I wasn't really talking. I mean,
I thought you were. I saw your mouth moving, so.
I mean, it probably, who knows. But, hey, it might have played a factor, but it might still be too early, but might have some fatigue. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time to readjust to the beginning of the new season, so I think it might still be early for them as well.
But one excuse, though, and actually I lied, this is the last part of it. The one excuse, though, that I will use is, why the hell did John Cooper keep that 4th line out as long as he did in the 3rd period? I honestly would have loved to have asked him that in the press conference, because it seemed like the Perry and Maroon line were out there the whole 3rd period. when you have Point and Stamkos on the sidelines. And, Stamkos in that 4-game winning streak against New York, he tore apart Igor and that whole defense on his own, just about. Obviously Braden Point didn't play, which makes it even more laughable because Braden Point's one of the best skaters in the league. But,
Right.
I guess it's early in the year, maybe just thinking bigger picture, and we'll see what happens as the next 81 games go. Or, I believe as we're talking tonight, 79 games go. So,
Probably.
well, I wanted to save this for the big story, but I think there's a bigger story we're going to talk about a little bit later. I don't want to give anything away. But,
Right.
Matt Rhule becomes the first head coach to get canned this season.
As I figured it would have happened.
Yeah, so I was going to say Wilkes is named the interim coach. And all indications right now, it appears that a full rebuild will be imminent for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very interesting to see who is going to be. I mean, of course, it's going to be having to be Sam Darnold being the starter for at least the time being because
I read PJ Walker.
Huh?
I read PJ Walker will start on Sunday.
Oh gosh, Carolina has too many problems at their factor. I think there's going to be a full rebuild. I think that they could be in play for maybe a rookie quarterback, and honestly, it wouldn't be a bad thing for Carolina. Of course, this would be the first rookie quarterback heading into, if they were to get one since Cam Newton. And hate to say it, I know Cam Newton's not in the league right now, but look what he did for Carolina coming into the league. I mean, he did pretty well for himself as a rookie quarterback, and Pregas eventually took him to the Super Bowl. Not saying that that's going to be the case for Carolina, but it might be something that they might need going forward. As far as Matt Rhule being the first head coach getting fired, I think it makes the most sense. I agreed that he probably should have. Makes you wonder why he even lasted two
and like a quarter years.
Yeah, 2.25 years in the NFL. I mean, this just proves right here that not a lot of college coaches do very well in the NFL.
We'll see.
Hate to say it.
To me, if you want a college coach in the NFL, I would look at two guys only in the college ranks. I would look at, obviously, Jim Harbaugh. His name's going to pop up till the end of time. There's just no way around it.
Jim Harbaugh might be the exception because he's already coached in the NFL before and knows what.
Majority of his career is spent in college.
I know, that's true too.
That's more what I'm hinting at with it. But yeah, him. Actually, I'll say 3 because Doug Marrone is currently the head coach or the assistant coach for Alabama football. At least last I heard he was. So he would be the second exception because, again, another former NFL head coach. But again, look at the roster he had in Jacksonville. And I don't feel you could fault that. And I will go down insisting this, that if Ralph Wilson didn't die, and R.I.P. to him, but if he didn't pass away and it gave Marrone the clause to allow him to leave, I feel like he would have taken the Bills to the playoffs one year.
Oh yeah, probably would have. You really should have in the second season, to be honest with you, because you had the loss to the Raiders, and you went 9? They went 9-7. They Sammy Watkins was in his rookie year, and Kyle Orton was playing lights out at quarterback, which is unheard of because he hasn't really done that much at all in his whole entire NFL career with the Broncos and the Bears. He wasn't really a well-known quarterback, but he goes to Buffalo and damn near takes him to the playoffs. with a coach that wasn't really
He was an
did that well
average
in the first
coach,
season with the Buffalo Bills, and
but
it kind of sucks
yeah,
because they were just this close. If they
yeah.
got that win against Oakland, when it was still Oakland that year, they would have probably made the playoffs and just squeaked into the wild card.
I'll
But
give
it
him that.
unfortunately didn't happen.
But you know what? Things worked out for the best in the end.
Yeah.
But I will say,
But as far as this, this is going to be the last thing. It'll be interesting who they choose for their head coach, but hopefully Wilkes can make a name for himself and maybe could end up being the full-on head coach after the season if he does very well in the presses. I mean, who knows?
I don't know. See, what I was going to finish with was, again, Jim Harbaugh. For sure, his name's always going to float around.
I mean, yeah,
Doug
of course it
Marone.
will be.
And then I was going to say Deion Sanders. I think you could put in that category.
Deion Sanders? Oh, gosh. I
No,
don't
no,
know
no.
if he can.
Listen here. Look what he's done. Now, again, he's not playing Power 5 schools, but he's changed the culture in that locker room.
See,
I feel like
the
he
same
should
thing
be
could have been
considered.
said about Matt Rhule. Technically, he came in and changed the culture in college, and then look what he did in the NFL.
But that's Baylor. That's Baylor. And Baylor's always had a decent football program. Okay? Jackson State has never been on the map before Deion Sanders went there. And Deion Sanders is old school. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
For all intents and purposes, he's old
Like
school.
a run-heavy type of guy.
Okay? And to me, because he's kind of old school, it reminds me of Dan Campbell's coaching style. Because Dan Campbell is that old school head coach. And again,
Yeah, but then if that's the case, then you could say the same thing about Frank Wright.
Yeah, Frank Reich too. Frank Reich is also that old school coach.
But the only thing about Indianapolis is they're not doing so great right now.
School,
so you can't really
old
put him
school
into that
versus
discussion.
new school. Old school versus new school here is Nick Sirianni is that new school guy.
See, that's the problem. I don't think a lot of old school type of coaches succeed in the NFL nowadays. Look at Dan Campbell. That record,
Again,
trap.
But you could argue that record could be the other way around.
I get it, and I don't want to keep on going on.
Those stupid Lions bumbles that they always pull.
Yeah, I know. I mean, hey, who
But-
knows?
But we could have that discussion toward the end of the year on the head coaches. For that, though, on to the Buffalo Bills.
Yes. Oh my God, man! What a great time of Orchard Park on a Sunday, windy day. It was cold and windy. But you know what? Your boy here was very dressed up for the occasion. Surprisingly, I didn't lose my voice too bad. I mean, I lost it more so when I was in Albany than I did in Buffalo. That's besides the point. But as far as this, they crush, and I mean crush, the Steelers in Orchard Park, 38-3. Josh Allen, give that man the MVP award. Over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in one single half, which is the best performance this whole entire year in one half by any quarterback, and it's beating out Patrick Mahomes this year. Huh? Fancy that, huh?
And Patrick Mahomes has not done anything stellar yet this year. Okay,
Exactly.
All of his wins have came on backyard football plays.
And the funny thing about this, all off of a receiver that isn't really even claimed to be the top receiver of the Buffalo Bills this season. Gabe Davis came back off of dealing with an ankle injury and had himself 3 catches for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdowns well over 50 yards each.
I feel like that silences the OBJ rumors. Just gonna throw that out there. I feel like that's gonna silence it now.
Well, see, this is where I'm going to say I agree, because there's 2 young receivers that might have put their stake into, we don't need OBJ at all. Khalil Shakir and Isaiah Hodgkins are both 2 great studs. Hodgkins was a rookie last year. He didn't play because of injury. This is technically his first actual year, even though it's his second season in the NFL. Khalil Shakir, I think he's a stud. I think he was a steal in the draft. I think he's somebody that can honestly be a great slot receiver for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, of course, we are dealing with a lot of injuries, but there are people that are coming back. Tre'Davious White's now back in the practice field, even though he's not going to be playing against Kansas City. But it's great to see him back. Could be possibly back for the Week 8 Sunday Night Football game against the Packers. But I think that this was the best game that Josh Allen has had as a pro. He had 424 yards, which is the most yards he has thrown so far in his 5 years and being in the NFL.
Yep.
I think he's only going to go up from here. I'm just going to say that now. But the real question is, are the Bills that good, or are the Steelers just that bad?
Man. That's a tough argument to make with TJ Watt still out. So, like, I feel like the depth... I mean, and also add in that all three of their top corners are out this weekend. I feel like you can't really make the argument that the Steelers are that bad. I think they're just, not quite there right now. And much like a lot of the league, I mean, I don't want to use the injuries as an excuse. 38-3 is bad football, okay?
Right.
But I don't feel you can make the argument that they are a team that, in a way, would play for the number one pick.
Yeah. I'm going to say this now. I think it's a little bit of both. Buffalo has been playing fantastic football this whole entire year. Yeah, the game against the Dolphins kind of got out of their favor a little bit, but still was playing very well in that game. And I just think that the Steelers just don't have it. They have no answers on offense. They have no answers on defense whatsoever. They are one of the lowest scoring offenses in the whole entire NFL. So I just don't know what needs to be done. I think they just need to get rid of their offensive coordinator, which fans have been praising. They want to get rid of Matt Canada, and I just don't understand why they won't.
Yeah.
If you know that your offense is so shitty, why don't you push him out and give Mike Tomlin offensive play calling?
See, the dumbasses also want Mike Tomlin gone, and Mike Tomlin's done a hell of a lot for that franchise in the last 10, 15, 20 years.
I'm pretty sure Mike Tomlin would be able to come up with better play calling than Matt Canada would, and that's saying something. But
he does need to go, I agree, but the ones that are saying that Mike Tomlin needs to go, you need to chill out. I mean, yeah, this is your first losing season in, 30-something years? So I get it. But
Pittsburgh fans, it's never too early to say that, Mike Tomlin should get rid of Matt Canada, because if you lose and you go to 1-5, something has to be done.
Yeah.
Something has to be done. And remember, Mike Tomlin hired Matt Canada as his coordinator. He can very well fire him too.
Yeah.
And say, you're done. Bring on, say promote the quarterback's coach to like offensive coordinator or something like that. So, as far as Buffalo Bills, on to Kansas City. That's all I gotta say. So, the news has gone on, and even TMC caught attention to this. Jordan Poole and Draymond Green were seen in practice. Jordan Poole is talking. Draymond Green comes over, gets in his face. Jordan Poole pushes him, and Draymond's like, bro, bam. Frickin' punches the living crap out of Jordan Poole. I almost thought he was going to just lay into Jordan Poole afterwards. But that's it. One punch. And all we get out of it is just, Draymond Green gets fined and no suspension whatsoever. Like, what does Draymond Green have to do to get suspended in the NBA anymore? Like, this league is so soft that, like, literally a man can punch his teammate and all you get is, sorry, you're going to get fined. What?
Perfect way to hit on a player and got a 10-game suspension for repeated offenses. So what's the difference there? I mean, the difference there is the NFL polices it better. At least in terms of
still,
player discipline. But even that's still flawed.
It's. I mean, I get it that it was the Warriors that were going to administer a suspension or a fine, but really just a fine. And then Draymond saying, "Oh well, we're just gonna have to we're just gonna get past this." And Jordan Poole's a professional and stuff like that. I'm like, I hate to say it, but if I'm Jordan Poole, I would not want to see play on the same team as Draymond Green, because you don't know if that's going to happen. If I'm the Warriors, I would get rid of Draymond Green. He is a cancer to the locker room. All he does is just talk. He's so arrogant. We talked about it multiple different times with him. He does nothing for that organization. They don't even need him to win championships.
Yeah. But the sad part is he thinks they do. Okay, look back, when Kevin Durant had his final year in Golden State, and he, got into an altercation with him and said, "You know what? We won without you. We'll win without you again."
Right.
And
that should be the case tirade. That should be the case for fucking Jordan Poole and Draymond Green then.
I don't mean, and this is an insult to Draymond Green, but he's comparable to Antonio Brown in a way with all this,
Yeah,
just being
I agree.
A fucking idiot. That's.
I just don't understand Draymond and his logic behind things, because first off, I get it. Jordan Poole's talking a lot of shit that instigated a lot of it, but you got to be the bigger man and be like, "Hey, man, enough is enough." You got put the talking onto the court. You know what? And you don't just go in there and just like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna punch the living crap out of you." That's being unprofessional in itself. Yeah, Jordan Poole was being a professional because all he was doing is just talking crap and got underneath your skin, and all you did was, okay, let me just punch the living shit out of him.
Here's the thing: you've got the biggest voice in the locker room. You've been a part of this organization for a really long time. At that, why don't you try using that to your advantage and be a leader instead of being an instigator and a bully? Okay. Try channeling it toward that. You might actually do a lot better than you believe you would.
Yeah, right. I was just gonna say, yeah. But I'm gonna get past that and get on to my last takeaway. So we will talk more about the whole thing.
Yeah.
About what happened to Thomas Brady in this. So there was ruling going around that Tom Brady kicked Grady Jarrett. Well, they must have found enough evidence, and they suspended, or not suspended, they fined him. And this is probably just pocket change to Tom Brady at this point. I mean, he's been in that for over 20 plus years. $11,000. I mean, shit, I wish I had pocket change of $11,000. Man, I would be living the life. But that's just pocket change for him for apparently kicking Grady Jarrett while getting sacked to the ground. What?
This just doubles down. I mean, this doubles down on just stupidity. I mean, this is just the theme of the day so far, is just stupidity on this episode.
I happen to agree.
Oh my gosh, I saw the replay too, and I'm like, what? In
what way was he kicking him? Was he kicking him towards his face or what? Like body or? I don't
know, man.
Like, I just want to know, because I seen the throwdown. He barely even got thrown down. And I didn't see Tom Brady even kick him. I think this is just a compliment. I think this is like a second place, like, hey, well, because he got it in his favor, we're still gonna fine him because
this is just nothing more than a makeup for what happened in the game. But it's not a makeup when you gave him a free 15 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anymore. This officiating is just getting so out of control, and not like in terms of we're throwing a flag on everything. I mean in the post game, it's just like become a reality show at the end of the day. It's a shitty reality show at that.
Right, exactly.
It's really becoming that with the league, and I mean, the NBA was like that for a bit. I mean, now it's just more drama behind the scenes with superstar teammates. Like,
Oh, I
this
know.
is just, league office. Like, what was that Adam
It
Sandler
makes you,
film with the prisoners?
oh, longest yard.
Longest yard. Wasn't it, the refs were trying to throw it in favor of the police officers, and then,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, Tom Brady's the police officer in the first instance, and then, the Falcons, because they do have the longest yard jerseys, they do get the
The
payback of the
problem is
fine.
that I feel like the NFL is really trying as much as possible to get Tom Brady back to the Super Bowl because they might know something that we don't, and that this is truly his last year in the NFL, which I
See,
really do think it is, even though he hasn't come out and said it. But who really knows as far as the whole
yeah,
fine and everything like that? It seems so stupid. Like,
finding a 45-year-old guy going through
first off,
divorce, very
if you're gonna
cool.
end up fining him, then why the hell did you call the freaking flag in the first place? Like,
I
I
don't
mean, I
get
know
it.
we're gonna talk more about it, but like that's
Yeah, we'll
that's all
talk
I'm gonna
about
say.
that in
Let's
a
get to our
second.
break and we'll talk more about it
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, we'll be right back in a
Right.
moment. Well, it was a fun week if you were the quarterbacks. Um, Derek Carr got sacked by Chris Jones, roughing the passer immediately, body weight. And,
Yeah.
you know, while he had the ball, and then in the New England game, the Tampa Bay game, which we just talked about, again, Tom Brady just thrown to the ground like he normally would be
Hmm.
and roughing the passer. So, I don't think it's as much. And Tom Brady even came out and kind of just didn't. It sounded like he disagreed with the call, but he's just like, I don't write the rules or I don't throw the flags.
Right.
Was his response in the post game, um,
I mean, he's
presser.
kind of got a point. I mean, in the end of the day,
Yeah,
he's not the one that's the ref and throwing the flags.
don't.
But you have to admit that you have some say in what the refs do. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure there's some money that's going into those refs' pockets that we don't know about.
See,
Almost reminds me of when Joe Cinco tried to bribe a ref with
see,
$1.
this reminds me. So the one tweet I did see is Micah Parsons, of course, Dallas Cowboys linebacker.
Right.
He was very adamant. He was very upset about the Monday night call, and I agree with him on it. This isn't football right here. Field Yates said that the new rule is you must lay down, or you either have to lay down a pillow to sack the quarterback on, I believe it was, or that was one of the tweets, and then another one was, we should just put flags on the quarterback. I know that was a discussion at the table the
I
other
know.
night.
I was gonna say, like, what's the best way to freaking protect a quarterback at this point? Like,
See,
this league, it wouldn't shock me if eventually it was like a flag football like league because like you can't even do anything to the quarterback without getting a flag. You can't even like look at them funny or touch them in a certain way without it getting like called roughing the passer or something like that, or taunting or anything like that. It's so weird. I mean, I just don't understand it. But let me tell you something. The one for Grady Jarrett and Tom Brady shouldn't have been roughing the passer.
yeah,
Because if you're going to give Tom Brady a fine anyway, it makes you think, first off, why did you throw the flag? And second off, why did Grady Jarrett have to get,
yeah.
have to get penalized for something stupid like that? Oh, because he had his hands all over Tom Brady. We want to protect our precious little, giant of a quarterback. What's going to happen when Tom Brady retires? Is Patrick Mahomes going to be the next little
He
protected
already is,
little
kind of.
quarterback? I mean, because if so, that's going to be stupid. I
See,
don't understand it. I don't like that idea at all.
there was a video that surfaced, of course, when the Derek Carr sack happened. And it was a video going back probably to Brady's rookie year or second year in the league, and he played the Buffalo Bills. Hansen, of
It was a
course.
nice hit.
Yeah, I mean, that hit on Brady. I mean, first off, no way in hell that hit should ever be legal in the NFL today.
Hell no.
Okay, that's where I think the line is drawn. But, you know, I think the simplest way, because there's just so much complexity. It's just like the catch rule a few years ago, where the catch rule was so complex, where we're just like, what is a catch and what isn't a catch? If you remember that
Right.
debate. Now I
Yeah.
feel like the debate is, well, what's roughing the passer and what's not? Why don't we just simplify it and say, you know what? If the quarterback is in the pocket, you can't put full body weight on him. You can push him to the ground. You know, you can
But yeah, if
hit
they move
you know,
out of the pocket, then
but
they're
you know,
classified as a runner,
yeah,
and then they can get thrown down to the ground, or
exactly.
well,
They can get hit
not like
as any
thrown
other
out.
running back or receiver would get hit.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
that's what I think the rule should be. I think that's the simplest way to go forward without, ruining the integrity of the game. And
I agree that the rule should change, and that the refs should be held more accountable.
yeah,
But it shouldn't. I don't think. I don't think we should ever get to the way of having it getting reviewed or anything like that.
No.
Nothing like
No.
roughing the, like nothing against like pass interference when that was
But they're
whole
never-
reviewable. I don't think roughing the passer should ever be reviewable. I just think that the rules should change and that the refs should be held more accountable of when they should call the penalty
See,
and when they should not.
the refs need to be held accountable regardless. There are 17 teams of referees, which I read this week. There are 17 referee assigned teams, with each one getting a bye week during the season. Okay? There's not, an 18th, a 19th, a 20th team of referees. Okay, so each week they're like, well, what does it matter? Because we're going to be back next week anyway. And as far as the reviewing goes, when the pass interference was reviewable, guess what? 98.8% of them kept, standing as it was. So it's not going to change their minds if it's made reviewable. It's just going to give them more leeway to double down.
Right.
What needs to be done is addressing the referees and telling them, look, you make bad calls. Guess what? We got people lined up that could take your job tomorrow.
True.
You really want to instill the fear of God into them? How's about you do that to start? Okay.
Right.
Then what I was going to say, again, got to simplify the rule, and apply it to all quarterbacks, okay? I think it needs to be addressed in the offseason where it's going to apply to every quarterback. Tom Brady's not going to get special treatment. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to get special treatment. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, whoever is starting in the league is not going to get a special treatment. You get hit, first off, again, I fully agree. Helmet hits should not be allowed. They shouldn't even be a part of the game. Helmet-to-helmet hits.
No, they really should not be at all.
Same thing with sweeping the leg. Okay, that goes across the board. Okay, that it shouldn't be, legal. It shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah, illegal chop block too. I mean, that's
But you can't protect the quarterbacks like that. And again, look at the O-linemen as well. The O-linemen take up the biggest beating the whole game. Okay? You could even argue that the wide receivers take more of a beating than the quarterback does. Why is it, this is nothing more than protecting, the star of the game. So.
anything I know.
Yeah, but I think.
But who knows?
Yeah, but I think with that we've kind of made our point here.
Yeah.
So let's go to the picks. We have a few buys, but we're gonna try to go through this pretty quick. 49ers Falcons. 49ers favored by 5.
I'm gonna have to say the 49ers here against the Falcons.
I'm gonna go for the upset. I think the Falcons here. The 49ers just haven't looked like the 49ers team that went to the Super Bowl or to the NFC Championship last year. So I'm going to go with the Falcons here. And they've been close all year. So that too. Patriots, Browns, Cleveland favored by 2.5.
It's still, I think it's still Bailey Zappa too. So, I don't know. This one's a rough one. I mean, I want to say the Browns, but the Patriots just came off of a 29-0 victory, so I might have to go to the Patriots over the Browns here.
I feel like the Patriots have momentum. Another thing is Jadeveon Clowney won't be playing this week, so I feel like I got to go New England here. So I'm going to go for the upset as well. Jets, Packers. Packers favored by 7.5.
I don't know. I'm not really 100% sold on the Green Bay Packers, but I do think that they have a better team than the Jets do. I don't know. This one's I want to say Green Bay at home.
I'm going to say Green Bay, but it's going to be closer than 7.5. I feel like,
Yeah, I think so.
these New Jersey teams this year, they're just the find-away teams. Okay. So, we'll see. Plus, the Jets are 2-0 on the road, so I feel that's going to play a big part.
I was just gonna say. I mean, they found a way the last 2 weeks, so who knows?
Yeah, this could be a very underrated game. Jags, Colts. Colts favored by 2.
Isn't it that the Jags always find a way to beat Indianapolis,
I believe so.
especially on the road too? So, I'm gonna have to go with Jacksonville over Indianapolis here.
Yeah. Keep in mind, it's teacher versus student here. Doug Peterson versus Frank Reich.
Oh, that's true
So,
too.
I feel like the teacher's going to get the better of it, and I think I'm going to go with the Jags here. Plus, we don't know about Jonathan Taylor's status, so that could be another big question going into today. But Vikings, Dolphins, Minnesota favored by 3.
Well, at least Minnesota has to only deal with 81 degrees of weather and not 100. But Minnesota, I'm going to say, is going to get the victory over the Dolphins here. I don't think it's going to be as close as they think it's going to be with 3 points. I think it's going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Minnesota's a lot better than everybody thinks that they are this year.
It's not just that. I mean, I hear that the Dolphins aren't going to have Bridgewater or Tua, so I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Yeah, look at what happened to them against the Jets, 40-17. I'm sorry, that's probably what's going to be the score with between Minnesota and Miami heading into Miami. So,
All right, Bengals and Saints. Cincy favored by 2.5.
now it's going to be interesting because I'm pretty sure this is like the first time that Andy Dalton's going to go up against his former team too.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Both teams do not look very good on the road or at home, so this could literally go any way. I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Bengals here against the Saints.
Yeah, I feel like the Saints have a lot of injuries that they're still working through, so that kind of gives the edge to the Bengals, I believe. But of course, it'll all depend if T. Higgins plays or not. Ravens, Giants, Baltimore favored by 5.5.
I don't like that. I really do not. I mean, the Ravens have blown leads to Miami and to Buffalo. I think that they're going to come up early and blow the lead. I think the Giants are going to go 5-1 here.
I like Brian Dable. He's done something, and it's not like the Giants look that great in the 4. I mean, they're a sloppy 4-1 at best. But I'm going to go with the Giants as well. I just don't buy Lamar Jackson just yet in this Ravens team. It seems like they're just going to be a fringe 7 seed at this point. I don't know if we even have to predict this one based on what I just said earlier about the Steelers. But Steelers and Bucks, Tampa favored by 9.5.
Oh, let me tell you something here. I think it's going to be higher than 9.5. especially with the Steelers just getting onslaughted by the Bills. I think they're going to get onslaughted by the Buccaneers.
Yeah. I'm going to say the same. I don't even need to explain why. Panthers, Rams. Rams favored by 10. Another one. Do we really have to say it?
I mean, who knows? Because sometimes these interim coaches end up surprising us. So who really knows? But honestly, I'm going to go with the Rams over the Panthers here. Panthers have just been playing sloppy.
I got to go with the Rams. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's been the only bright spot for the Panthers all year. I mean, and he might be dealt soon. That's the other thing that's going to play factor.
I was going to say,
Buffalo is the favorite.
There's been rumors about it, but Buffalo is downgrading it, saying, no, we're not in the discussion for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, but that means very little.
Even needs them. Like, Buffalo is more pass heavy than they are run heavy. Unless they want to get
big in the
Christian
pass
McCaffrey. Game. Unless they want to get McCaffrey and put him into the pass game, that could be possible.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't feel this game's as much of a shoo-in, but Cardinals, Seahawks, Arizona favored by 2.5.
I don't know if I like that Arizona is the favorite here. So is it next week that DeAndre Hopkins comes back?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, this is going to be the last time that I see Arizona being bad for a while. I mean, of course, it's going to take some time for Hopkins to get well acquainted with the team. I would assume he's probably practicing, but...
well, not yet. He's suspended. He's not allowed at team facilities.
So it's going to take a while, even with him coming back. I'm going to have to see the Seahawks. I think Gino's going to have himself a game against the Cards.
The 12s are having a surprisingly good year. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here at home. This is the game of the year right here. Bills, Chiefs. Bills, for the first time ever, someone is favored to beat Kansas City going into the game. Bills are favored by 2.5.
See, I'm going to have to say the Bills because the last few years that they've played in Kansas City in the regular season, they've beaten them. So why not a third year in a row?
See, this has Brady and Manning written all over it. But that said, this is probably going to be the toughest game I predict all week. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have looked okay, but again, not many weapons now, and you can't expect Travis Kelce to get 4 touchdowns against the Bills' defense. So that said, I feel it's going to come down to which defense holds better, and that would be the Bills' defense. So I'm going to go with the Bills. I'm going to say this now. This Buffalo defense has gotten better on purpose because they know they're going to face a team against like the Kansas City Chiefs, who they've given up a lot of points to them in the second half, especially last year, especially earlier this year in the playoffs. Yeah. So, and
you got to have a good defense against Patrick Mahomes, and especially their defense that has only given up a touchdown.
Yeah, and let's be fair here about the Chiefs. The Chiefs have struggled against teams that are average at best, and granted, a few of them are in their division. But they just don't look like the team to me that's any bit of a favorite. And this would be a game that I feel could put them in the favorite discussion.
I hate to say it, but Kansas City should be 3-2 right now, not 4-1.
Exactly. But you could even argue for 2-3, I think.
But, yeah, probably.
Cowboys, Eagles, this could be a very interesting game. Cooper Rush expected to start again. Philadelphia favored by 6.5.
I hate to say it, Dallas Cowboys fans and Cooper Rush, you're finally going to get that first L as a starter. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. They are going to be rioting. They are not the underdogs no more. They are the dogs. They're going to get that dub.
Yeah. 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles has a nice ring to it. So I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. Can I just say, though, that they are starting to crawl into the Super Bowl. 6-0, you can't help but start talking Super Bowl.
I was going to say, Philadelphia, if you told me 6 weeks in
Man.
that Philadelphia would be still the only undefeated team in the NFL, I would have called you a liar. I would have told you, no, it's definitely gonna be the Buffalo Bills. No, I guess that ship has sailed. It is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sorry, I had to stop. But anyway, we're back. Sorry about that. Freaking interruptions. But
I know.
yeah.
Sorry.
So we both picked the Eagles. Broncos, Chargers. Chargers favored 4.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Chargers here. The Broncos, I hate to say it, Russell Wilson has lost so many games because of with bad decisions, so I'm gonna have to go with the Chargers here. Unless somehow Russell Wilson has grown a set of eyes and can actually see open receivers when he has them.
Guess what? I'm going Broncos. Okay.
Are you really?
See, let me explain. The Chargers always blow a game against the Broncos once a year. They always blow at least one. No matter how good or bad the Broncos are, no matter how good or bad we are, they always blow one. So this is going to be the one they blow against Denver. Finally, we got a good Thursday night game, I think. And it's going to be the Saints and the Cardinals. Arizona favored by 2.5.
Saints and Cardinals, huh? Cardinals. I think that DeAndre Hopkins coming back will definitely help them out.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs maybe much. It's going to be rough to incorporate a receiver back on such a short week, but I think it's going to be enough that's going to actually help the Cardinals get a victory here after a loss.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals, too. I feel like, again, nothing against the Saints, but the injuries are big for them right now. And again, DeAndre Hopkins, and I feel like Hollywood Brown is finally starting to come into his own with this offense, so I got to go with the Cardinals.
I was going to say, with having both of them out on the field, I think it's going to really help the Cardinals in a big way.
So with that, we go to Tinkle on this. DeMay Holmes, of course, got injured. Now, we want to stress, we are not talking about his injury here. We are not talking about his injury on the Tinkle on this. We are talking about how he was treated and the camera placement. So I feel like the camera placement, and first off, I think this is just as much on NFL Network as it is on the trainer, because that camera was placed right behind DeMay Holmes during while the trainer's working on him, which first off, I would have put the tent up to work on it or something, exactly. Because someone sitting behind might just get the wrong idea, especially with his ass kind of showing. Needless to say, they just went and made Deshaun Watson want to go there. Okay. I won't say any more on that, because I feel like you're getting the picture now. So with that,
I think Deshaun Watson would go there if it was a female. Then it would be a male, but
he'll ask for the female trainer and then say you're hot. I want to trade there. But oh my gosh, with that though, I don't feel we need to say any more on this. Just tinkle on this to whoever got that camera shot.
You should just get like a lifetime award just for that camera shot alone.
You should get called by Pornhub for a new job.
Oh God.
Okay.
Right.
But with that, what's coming up on No Final Bell this week?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we had a great Dynamite Rampage and Battle of the Belts 4. We have a couple. All the champs retained. We had some great matches. We had some great building into the Toronto show. Of course, we'll talk about that, but congratulations to Orange Cassidy becoming the All-Atlantic champion at his first singles championship. I think it's well-deserved for him. He has worked his ass off. I think I like the character direction that is going with him, a little bit edgier, a little bit more serious, not somebody that's very much comedic, but more serious, and taking his wrestling a little bit more seriously. So I do like that. So I guess I gotta take it on to you. What is coming up on your other show?
Well, Cole Custer got penalized this week for being a teammate, so we're definitely going to have that discussion about the Charlotte Roval. Just backtrack just a little bit. Of course, the round of 8 kicks off this Sunday at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so this should be a fun time. And of course, a new crew chief named for Hendrick Motorsports driver Alex Bowman. We'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll have some IndyCar news and potentially some NASCAR Cup Series team news. Another big piece of the silly season might be solved this week. So that's all coming up. Of course, no final bell Wednesday. We're on Tuesday with Out of Turn 4, and we'll see you for both shows this week. Otherwise, we'll see you back here on Sunday. Till then, goodbye, everyone.